Imagine walking into an auction house and spending more money on a single car than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. Imagine a vehicle so rare, so prestigious, that billionaires compete against each other just for the privilege of ownership. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring the stratosphere of automotive collecting, the realm where cars aren't just transportation, they're investments that rival masterpiece paintings and historic artifacts. These are the 10 most expensive cars ever sold. We're talking about machines that have sold for tens of millions, sometimes over $100 million. Each one has a story of racing glory, engineering genius, or connections to history's most fascinating figures. By the end of this video, you'll understand why someone would pay the price of a private island for a single automobile. So buckle up, because we're about to enter the world of the ultra-elite. But first, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into automotive history. And if you love cars as much as we do, drop a like on this video. It helps us continue bringing you this content. Alright, let's dive in. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is a car that many consider the greatest supercar ever built, the McLaren F1. In 2021, a pristine example sold for $20.5 million, shattering records for modern supercars and proving that 1990s automotive excellence can command serious money. The McLaren F1 wasn't just fast for its time, it was revolutionary. Designed by Gordon Murray, it featured a central driving position with 2 passenger seats flanking the driver. Under the engine cover sat a naturally aspirated 6.1-litre BMW V12 producing 627 horsepower. In 1998, it set the production car speed record at 240.1 miles per hour, a record it held for over a decade. Only 106 were built between 1992 and 1998, with just 64 being road cars. What makes the F1 special is its purity. No traction control, no power steering, no driving aids, just an analog connection between driver and machine that modern supercars can't replicate. The attention to detail was obsessive. The engine bay was lined with gold because it was the best heat reflector. Today, the F1 is considered automotive art. Values have skyrocketed as collectors realize they're not making anymore, and the engineering philosophy behind it is extinct in today's world of hybrid turbocharged supercars. The $20.5 million sale was for a low-mileage example in exceptional condition, but don't be surprised if we see an F1 crack $30 million in the next few years. At number 9, we travel back to the golden age of American automotive luxury with the 1935 Duesenberg Model SSJ. This masterpiece of pre-war engineering sold for $22 million in 2018, and it carries with it one of the most glamorous stories in automotive history. Only 2 SSJs were ever built. They weren't ordered by wealthy industrialists or oil barons. They were commissioned by Hollywood royalty. One went to Gary Cooper and the other to Clark Gable, 2 of the biggest movie stars of their era. The SSJ was the ultimate expression of Duesenberg's philosophy: build the finest automobile in the world, regardless of cost. Based on their already legendary SJ model, the SSJ featured a supercharged 6.9-litre straight-8 engine producing an astounding 400 horsepower. To put that in perspective, in 1935, most cars had maybe 40 horsepower. The SSJ had 10 times that. It could reach 140 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest cars on Earth at the time. The example that sold for $22 million was Gary Cooper's personal car. It remained in private collections for decades, preserved as a rolling piece of 1930s Americana. The short wheelbase, lightweight body, and supercharged power made it both elegant and brutally fast. Duesenberg represented the pinnacle of American pre-war luxury, and the SSJ was the crown jewel. When you hear people say it's a doozy, they're actually referencing these cars. Number 8 brings us British racing excellence with the 1956 Aston Martin DBR1. In 2017, this stunning machine sold for $22.5 million, becoming the most expensive British car ever sold and cementing its place in automotive history. The DBR1 is what happened when Aston Martin decided to challenge Ferrari's dominance in sports car racing. The result was pure magic. Only 5 DBR1s were ever built between 1956 and 1958, and they rewrote the history books. In 1959, a DBR1 won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Britain's first Le Mans victory in over 3 decades. That same year, Aston Martin clinched the World Sports Car Championship. These weren't just wins, they were statements. Under the gorgeous aluminum bodywork sat a 3.0-litre straight-6 engine producing around 250 horsepower. The power figures might seem modest today, but the DBR1 was all about finesse. It was lighter, better balanced, and more refined than its competitors. The car that sold for $22.5 million was chassis DBR1/1, the very first one built and the car that won Le Mans. It was driven by legends like Carroll Shelby, Sterling Moss, and Roy Salvadori. That racing provenance is worth its weight in gold. When you look at a DBR1, you're seeing the perfect marriage of British engineering, Italian styling influence, and pure racing DNA. It's no wonder it commands such astronomical prices. At number 7, we return to Maranello with the breathtaking 1957 Ferrari 335S Spider Scaglietti. This racing icon sold at auction in 2016 for $35.7 million, and every penny of that price is justified by its incredible history. The 335S was Ferrari's weapon of choice for the 1957 racing season. It competed in the most dangerous and prestigious races of the era, the Mille Miglia, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and races across Europe where drivers risked everything for glory. Under that sensuous Scaglietti-designed body beats a 4.0-litre V12 engine, producing 390 horsepower. In 1957, that was absolutely monstrous. This wasn't a refined Grand Tourer. This was a race car that happened to have a license plate. The 335S was driven by some of the greatest names in motorsport: Wolfgang von Trips, Peter Collins, Maurice Trintignant, and Luigi Musso. Tragically, this was also the era when racing was brutally dangerous, and several drivers lost their lives in these cars, adding a somber weight to their history. Only 4 335S models were built, making this one of the rarest Ferraris in existence. The example that sold for $35.7 million had been meticulously preserved and restored, maintaining its original chassis and matching numbers engine. When you stand in front of a 335S, you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at courage, sacrifice, and the raw, unfiltered passion that defined 1950s motorsport. Number 6 takes us to one of the most beautiful Ferraris ever created, the 1962 Ferrari 250 GT California Spider. A covered headlight example sold for $18.2 million in 2014. And if you're a movie fan, you might already know this car from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The California Spider was designed specifically for the American market, particularly wealthy Californians who wanted open-top motoring with Ferrari performance. It was the ultimate blend of Italian passion and California cool. Between 1957 and 1963, only 106 California Spiders were built, with the covered headlight versions being the most desirable. Under the long, elegant hood sits a 3.0-litre Colombo Fair 12 engine producing around 280 horsepower, enough to propel this beauty to 150 miles per hour. What makes the California Spider so special is its dual personality. It was civilized enough for cruising Sunset Boulevard, but had the performance to hold its own on a racetrack. The bodywork, designed by Pininfarina and built by Scaglietti, is absolutely timeless. The car's proportions are perfect. That long hood, the short rear deck, the aggressive but elegant lines. It's a design that could be released today and still turn heads. The $18.2 million sale was for an impeccably restored example with excellent provenance. When these cars come up for auction, bidding wars erupt among collectors who understand they're acquiring more than transportation. They're acquiring rolling sculpture. At number 5, we have another Ferrari racing legend, the 1957 Ferrari 250 Testarossa. In 2011, one sold for $16.4 million, though more recent private sales have likely exceeded that substantially. The name Testarossa translates to redhead in Italian, referring to the distinctive red-painted cam covers on the engine. This wasn't a styling choice, it was a battle badge. The Testarossa was built for one purpose: to dominate sports car racing, and dominate it did. Between 1958 and 1961, the Testarossa won Le Mans 3 times, along with multiple other championship victories. It was Ferrari's answer to everyone who dared challenge their supremacy. The 250 Testarossa featured a 3.0-litre V12 engine producing around 300 horsepower, wrapped in gorgeous Scaglietti bodywork that was both aerodynamic and absolutely stunning. The pontoon-style fenders and aggressive stance made it instantly recognizable. Only 19 customer versions were built, with each car having its own unique racing history. Some were driven by Phil Hill, Olivier Gendebien, and Wolfgang von Trips, names that defined an era. What makes the Testarossa special is how it balanced beauty and brutality. It was competitive enough to win Le Mans, but elegant enough to be considered art. That combination is why values have skyrocketed. The car represents Ferrari at its absolute peak, when racing success, engineering excellence, and stunning design all came together perfectly. Coming in at number 4, we have an American legend born from revenge, the 1964 1954 Ford GT40. A GT40 prototype sold for $12.1 million, and behind that sale is one of the greatest stories in motorsport history. In the early 1960s, Henry Ford II attempted to buy Ferrari. After months of negotiations, Enzo Ferrari walked away at the last moment, insulting Ford in the process. Ford was furious and made a decision. If he couldn't buy Ferrari, he'd destroy them on the track. Thus, the GT40 was born. Ford assembled a team of the best engineers and drivers, threw enormous resources at the project, and created a car specifically designed to beat Ferrari at Le Mans. After initial struggles and failures, the GT40 finally achieved its goal. In 1966, Ford GT40s finished 1-2-3 at Le Mans, humiliating Ferrari on the world's biggest stage. They went on to win Le Mans 4 consecutive times from 1966 to 1969. The GT40 combined American V8 power with sophisticated aerodynamics and lightweight construction. The 7.0-liter V8 produced over 500 horsepower, enough to push the car past 200 miles per hour. The example that sold for $12.1 million was an early prototype with extensive racing history. These early cars were the development mules that eventually led to Ford's domination. The GT40 proved that American engineering could compete with and beat the best Europe had to offer. It's a symbol of determination, innovation, and the power of revenge as motivation. At number 3, we have pure racing royalty, the 1954 Mercedes-Benz W196R Formula One car. This legendary machine sold for $29.6 million in 2013, setting a record at the time for the most expensive car ever sold at auction. The W196R is special for one reason above all others. It was driven by Juan Manuel Fangio, arguably the greatest racing driver who ever lived. Fangio won the Formula One World Championship in 1954 and 1955 driving this car, and his legend is inseparable from this machine. Mercedes returned to Grand Prix racing in 1954 after a 15-year absence, and they brought cutting-edge technology. The W196R featured fuel injection, desmodromic valve timing, and a space-frame chassis, innovations that were years ahead of competitors. The 2.5-liter straight-8 engine produced around 290 horsepower at an incredible 8,500 revolutions per minute. The car could reach 180 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest racing machines of its era. The specific chassis that sold for $29.6 million was W196R-00006/54, which Fangio drove to victories at the German and Swiss Grand Prix in 1954. This wasn't just any W196R. It was the car that helped secure Fangio's second world championship. The W196R represents the peak of 1950s Formula One, a time when engineering brilliance, driver skill, and pure courage determined winners. Mercedes withdrew from racing after 1955, making these cars even more significant as the final chapter of their early racing dominance. At number 2, we have the car that collectors consider the Holy Grail, the 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. Multiple examples have sold for astronomical prices, with confirmed public sales reaching $48.4 million in 2018, while rumored private transactions have exceeded $70 million. The 250 GTO is automotive perfection. Between 1962 and 1964, only 36 were built, making it one of the rarest Ferraris ever created. Each one was hand-built and slightly different from the others. The GTO was created to dominate GT racing, and that's exactly what it did. The name stands for Gran Turismo Omologato, meaning it was homologated for GT racing. Under that Giotto Bizzarini and Sergio Scaglietti designed body sits a 3.0-liter V12 producing around 300 horsepower. But the 250 GTO is more than specs and racing wins. It represents the absolute pinnacle of Ferrari during their golden era. Every line, every curve was designed for a purpose. It's beautiful because it's functional, and functional because it's beautiful. Owning a 250 GTO means joining one of the most exclusive clubs on earth. You could fit every GTO owner in a single room. These aren't just cars, they're membership cards to the ultimate collector's society. The cars rarely change hands, and when they do, it's often between billionaires who've been waiting decades for the opportunity. Some families have owned the same GTO for generations, treating it as a priceless heirloom. The 250 GTO has been called the Mona Lisa of cars, and that comparison isn't hyperbole. It's art, history, and engineering genius rolled into one perfect package. And now number 1, the car that rewrote every record book and shocked the entire automotive world. The 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe sold in 2022 for an absolutely staggering $142 million, making it by far the most expensive car ever sold. This isn't just expensive, it's in a different stratosphere. To put this in perspective, the previous record was around $70 million. The Uhlenhaut Coupe nearly doubled that. Only 2 of these cars were ever built, and they were never intended for sale. They were internal development cars for Mercedes-Benz, created by chief engineer Rudolf Uhlenhaut. The story goes that Uhlenhaut would drive one of these cars on public roads from Stuttgart to meetings across Germany at absurd speeds. The 300 SLR Coupe is based on the W196 Formula One car that we discussed earlier. It features the same 3.0-liter straight-8 engine, but tuned for road use, producing 302 horsepower. The top speed, over 180 miles per hour. In 1955, the car combined Grand Prix racing technology with a closed coupe body that made it theoretically drivable on public roads. The result was possibly the fastest road car in the world at the time. For decades, both Uhlenhaut coupes sat in Mercedes' own museum, considered too precious and historically significant to ever sell. The fact that Mercedes agreed to sell one sent shockwaves through the collector car community. The sale was conducted privately to a carefully selected buyer, whose identity remains confidential. The money raised went to establish a Mercedes-Benz fund to provide educational and research scholarships. The $142 million price tag is almost impossible to comprehend, but when you consider the rarity, the history, the engineering, and the Mercedes-Benz pedigree, you begin to understand. This is the unicorn of unicorns, the car that can never be replicated. The 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe isn't just the most expensive car ever sold. It's a reminder that some objects transcend their original purpose and become cultural treasures, and sometimes those treasures are worth more than most people can even imagine. And there you have it, the 10 most expensive cars ever sold, from the $12 million Ford GT40 all the way up to the mind-bending $142 million Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe. These aren't just cars, they're time machines that transport us to eras of racing glory, engineering breakthroughs, and unbridled automotive passion. They remind us that the greatest automobiles aren't just about getting from point A to point B. They're about pushing boundaries, chasing perfection, and creating something that transcends the ordinary. If money were no object, which one would you choose? Would you pick the racing pedigree of the Ferrari 250 GTO, the American muscle and revenge story of the Ford GT40, or the ultimate rarity of the Mercedes Uhlenhaut Coupe? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive history, smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our videos on the world's most incredible cars, racing history, and automotive culture. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep dreaming about these incredible machines. And remember, sometimes the journey matters more than the destination, especially when the journey is in one of these legendary automobiles. See you in the next video.